Hey guys, so today I want to talk about Fallout 4 and what a piece of garbage it is on release. And I'm talking pretty garbage right now. So, let's not talk about gameplay for right now cuz that I could make a whole video. I could make a whole video about that. But, I don't want to. I want to talk about the technical issues as of release because I feel like technical issues are issues that can't really be ignored. You can't really ignore something when it is clearly right in front of you. So let's talk about the issues of Fallout 4. And let's start off, I could talk about, all of the glitches like the infinite animation bugs and, the fact that people get stuck. I've been caught in two animation loops at the beginning. I had enemies disappearing from the ground and reappearing on buildings. I had, people falling through the ground. I think there was a video of someone who had, birds basically flying into the ground for whatever reason. And, let's move all of that stuff over to the side just for a moment and let's talk about the issues with the most basic issues, which are support and optimization. And, right off the bat, there is no SLI support. So as someone that runs two 570 graphics cards in unison, I require SLI support because one 570 card is not going to cut it when you're trying to run Fallout 4. Unless I drop the graphics down to, low, that's not going to be acceptable. It's not going to run. And, as it is right now, when I try and run SLI, I get a black face. My character's not the head, but the actual face is completely black. And some of the other characters, such as my wife, have a black face as well, which is just, it boggles my mind. And, if you run it natively, you'll start seeing huge amounts of lag between the game and your control. And when I managed to find a workaround for that using some YouTube tutorials, so that was okay. Now only my face, it's not black anymore. It's just somewhat pixelated. But the game is running, barely acceptably. But, let's be honest. A game that's being released without SLI support and a game which benefits hugely from SLI support is unacceptable for a $60 game. In addition, the game is just, it is not optimized properly. This game is not running as well as it should be. I've noticed significant drops when you go inside of buildings. If you add, it's not such a big deal outside of buildings, but when you go inside of a building, and there's a lot of stuff there, you'll notice huge drops. And again, very unacceptable for a game that's $60. And it boggles my mind that once again, everyone's talking about how great this game is, but we're basically the beta testers. This should have all been worked out before the game was released, but once again, we're footing the bill for these companies that, aren't porting the game properly to PC. They're not. This game, it's built for a controller, not for a mouse. Once again, the UI, for the inventory screen and a number of other things, is just goddamn awful. I shouldn't have to scroll down to a specific item just to see its stats. That should be listed on with the rest of the items. But instead, you actually have to click on the item in order to see what the stats, or scroll over it just to see what the stats are. And when you've got like 50 things in your inventory, you can't do that correctly. But again, now I'm kind of digressing into the actual gameplay, which I could make a whole separate video on some of the good things that they've done in it and also some of the dreadful things that they've added to this game to quote and unquote streamline the process. So, those are the technical issues. Let's talk a bit more about the bugs, because I understand, I'll give you a little leeway on the bugs that you have, because again, it's a huge open world game, but Skyrim was nothing like this when it released. I don't remember this many game-breaking bugs upon release. Within the first 10 minutes of the game, after leaving the vault, I encountered two game-breaking bugs. First one, both of them were in the museum. The first one was when I tried to access a terminal. I didn't access it properly, apparently, because I got stuck in an infinite animation loop. And the second one occurred when I tried to put in the fusion core for the power armor. And because I was standing in front of it, the animation wouldn't let me proceed, and I got stuck in it forever. You see where I'm kind of going with this, that this is incredibly unacceptable. At the same time, as soon as I put on the power armor, I had enemies despawning from the ground and respawning up on the buildings. What the hell? In places which are not acceptable. They weren't climbing ladders or anything. They were just spawning up there, or they were despawning and respawning up there. I've how is this acceptable in 2015? How is it okay to release an absolutely broken game with a bunch of hype behind it, and then everyone does it, and no one says, and then no one covers it. I'm seeing IGN with like 9.8 scores and stuff like that. And then you go on Metacritic and you go on Steam and you see that, 1 in 4 reviews is a bad review. And you go on Metacritic and you see that the score is 84 by reviewers, and by users it's a 64, because the users are getting on and they're seeing this and they're like, what am I playing? This is not acceptable for a 2015 $60 game. So I think I got across what I wanted to get across. I think that, this game is going to require another 2 months of patching, and then it's going to require a month after that of just people, mods coming out, like UI mods and stuff like that, just to make the game bearable. But as of right now, do not pick up this game, because this game is not worth it. Don't put yourself through the trouble.